cool. I'll be mindful of my sniffles. Because I got some allergies. I'll be mindful of mine.
You can slurp a slurp. Alright. Slurp a slurp, it don't hurt. Yo, what's up? How you doing? People who are actually listening. This is Lee Bishop, Amazin Blasian podcast. Welcome my guest, Carlos Torres, aka Los. What's up, dude?
How you doing, sir?
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I'm very flattered, Lee, that you would find me interesting enough to wish to spend some time with me and have a hang. But it's cool.
Cool. Let's get into it, man. Magician? Yeah?
Magician.
What did I say?
You said magician.
Musician?
Musician, yes.
I'm gonna cut that out. I'm probably not. Too lazy. Name the bands you play with.
We want to start from when I was like a small child.
No, dude. No, okay, go ahead.
All
archive
right.
it. Let's archive it.
All right, first band. We would have to go back to 1994. The Grasshoppers.
Okay.
And then...
what kind of music?
We were pretty terrible. It was the first time I had ever picked up an instrument, so I couldn't even do like a power chord. I would just play like single string.
What's the instrument?
Guitar.
Okay.
But we fancied ourselves to sound a little bit like maybe early Sebado or something like that. But it was just kind of, there was a show coming up and they needed an opening slot band, and so we took that opportunity and we played. So, but that was with the Logan brothers and this cat named Bobby Duke. But yeah, okay. So that was the first band, and then the second band that I was in would have to have been the Earth Germs.
Okay. What kind of music?
Pop punk.
Okay.
Very inspired by kind of Southern California, No Effects, Bad Religion style pop punk, and it was with this cat named Justin Sweat and Michael James.
Okay.
So then I moved to Lubbock, and I was in a band called the Grizzly Adams Family.
Okay. Funky name.
Yeah, good name. Had some good merch. Played a few shows. So that band had a few different lineups, but then after that, I was in a band called Coslos.
Wait, the Grizzlies, what kind of music?
Grizzly Adams Family, I guess that kind of era of music that I was listening to, at the time it was called emo music, but it was kind of heavily inspired by bands like kind of Christie Front Drive and this band called Boys Life. There was a label, I think it was called Cranky Records, but it was like kind of, I don't know if it was first wave emo or I don't know with all these labels and stuff, but it was definitely inspired by kind of screaming vocals, this type of stuff. So after that, I was in a band called Coslos, which was with a couple of cats. I remember Rick Torres and Aaron Davis and Taylor Thomason, and Adam Edwards was the singer. And that too was kind of similar. I mean, I think that band was probably more inspired by like an At the Drive-In kind of style of music, and I think. Yeah, I mean, those guys were super talented, way more talented than me, which was always my trick, was to surround myself by people that were better than me.
I did the same thing.
So then I was in a band called Cara de Chango, which was in Austin, and that was also with Justin Sweat again. He's kind of a recurring theme in my life, and Andy Martinez and my buddy Kenneth. And then I was not in the band, but I did play with a band called Explosions in the Sky. They were based out of Austin. And I toured with them for some years as a stand-in, fill-in, expense, roadie with the guitar, and then so I'm currently in a band called Cross Control, which is a band here based out of Los Angeles, which is like a hardcore punk band. And so that's kind of my musical history summed up in a nutshell.
It's a pretty good resume.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I've been pretty. I don't know if the word is blessed, but I've been pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
And privileged in the opportunities that I've had, kind of in the music realm, because I think that there was definitely like on touring and whatnot. I was in a position that I think many people would dream to be in, and I was kind of put in that spot with really kind of undeservedly, just because of kind of who I knew. So
that's how it works.
That's how it works. I mean, I guess that's how it works in any industry and any business. So it was definitely, something that I just kind of lucked into. And also, too, even here being in LA, starting a band so soon, and the band that I'm in now, we have a 7-inch coming out next month. And so that, too, was kind of lucked into as well.
Next month is November.
Yeah, November of 2019.
Yeah. By the way, this is, what's today's date? October 24th, 2019.
Yeah, you're right. You are correct.
Talk a little bit about tour life. It's because it's more like a young man sport. No.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely too old to tour. I've entered my 40s, and it's so I guess I toured from 2007 until 2018, but not like consistently. I mean, that was like, it would be like kind of an album cycle would last a year and a half, sometimes maybe close to 2 years, and then I would be off. In my situation, I would be off for 2 years, and then an album cycle, and then off. So I did 3 album cycles with Explosions in the Sky, and then in the interim I worked. I just got kind of jobs, and so, but the tour life was fascinating. I mean, at first I was in my late 20s, I believe, and it was exciting. I mean, it was just the ability to travel and kind of see stuff that literally you would never think that you would see, or that you only read about in books, or that you heard about, like seeing the ruins in Rome or Greece. I mean, I got to see this kind of stuff, so that part was very exciting. And then initially I was just a guitar tech, but then I started to perform in 2011, so that was different, because then it was kind of being able to be on stage is obviously something that's unique and kind of special all into itself. And so that part was that too was exciting, and just like being able to perform almost not on a nightly basis when we were on the road, but just to kind of be able to, it's kind of cathartic, and just to kind of release, and so that was good. And ultimately, tour life led me to my current situation with Melissa, my lovely wife, and so it all, for me, like all the paths led to that moment, so I mean, for me, I'm exceptionally grateful, because I wouldn't be where I am today without that, and I wouldn't be with who I'm with today. So I think that when I take away everything from it, like that was the most the grandest thing that happened, being on the road for that long.
I guess, and was that what led you to your band now, because of your resume?
I think so. I stopped touring in 2018. My last show was in May.
But did they know who you are, and they knew what Explosions in the Sky were?
No, not necessarily, because I think the genre of music is such a polar opposite of like where Explosions in the Sky were. I think a lot of the ethos are similar in kind of a punk rock vein, but I think that I don't like. I had met the singer of my current band through Explosions, because I had invited him to come see us play. But no, I don't think. I don't think that. I guess through the band I met the guy that ultimately brought me into the new band that I was in, but I don't think that my resume had anything to do with it. In fact, it's like it's really never been mentioned. I don't even know, if like some of the band members even know who the band is. So I don't think that it was something that was important. I think that if it was maybe in a different genre, that it might weigh heavier. Mm-hmm. But I think that just through my friendship of meeting Vince in this band, that's what kind of got me into Cross Control. So
what's the negatives of touring?
I think that the negatives of touring is such that I don't know if people understand how disorienting it can be to be on the road. I mean, if you are traveling on a daily basis, and it is very exciting. And again, I was very fortunate to be in that position. But like sometimes waking up in a different city every day can be very disorienting. And also, too, for me, I have like a vegan diet, and even throughout touring, I was a vegetarian the whole time. But I've been vegan for the past decade, and sometimes that would be difficult to find food, primarily in Europe. It seems like they don't cater to that kind of diet in a lot of places in a lot of parts of the world. So that was always you don't get enough sleep. I mean, I think it's just also too, it just kind of weighs heavy after a while. And physically it takes its toll, because I think I've always been a very physical performer. And so, I mean, I would have aches and creaks in my back and my neck. And so, I mean, that was always difficult. And then, I mean, yeah, just like just kind of being away from home. I think the biggest part about, I always remember returning from tours. So it's like, let's say you're gone for 3 weeks, and then you get home, and there's this like depression that follows, and I can't describe it, but I always remember like I remember vividly like standing in the middle of a grocery store, and for the past 3 weeks, everything was so structured. You know, you knew what time you had to load in, you knew what time you had to wake up, you knew what time you had to be on the stage, and then all of a sudden there's nothing, you know, there's no structure. And I felt like I don't know, I was like kind of in molasses, like the world was kind of passing me by. And I always felt that there was this depression, like when I would return from tour. And it was interesting, you know, because you would think that you would kind of be hype, or things would be different, but yeah, there was always a lull period that I would have to adapt and adjust to when I returned from tour. Because tour was also exciting. I mean, there was also, you were doing something daily, and now you're doing nothing. So.
It's like you were coming down from a high.
I think so too. Probably a dump of adrenaline, and I mean, all that stuff is probably played factors into it for sure.
So now you're in Los Angeles. How's LA been treating you?
LA is an interesting city. It's
Wait, where you were before?
Austin,
and then you were in Portland,
Seattle. Yeah. So Seattle to Austin, Midland to Lubbock, Lubbock to Seattle, Seattle to Austin, Austin to LA. With a stint, I mean, I spent like over 6 months in Brussels, so I can say I'd lived there, I think. But
Muscles from Brussels. When
I was with Melissa over there hanging out. But I think LA, I mean, I remember one time I was sitting with a gentleman at a bar downtown with my friend Joshua, and he had said that LA is the city of dreams and also the city where dreams die. And it really kind of impacted me. I still think about that comment, but I think LA, I see the beauty in it, and I also see like it's, I don't know, like there's a lot of carnage here, you know, especially when you see the disparity between socioeconomic class. And I mean, it's just kind of a place where, you know, I can't imagine that this city produces so much money. I mean, I don't know where California stands on the list, but I always remember reading like California was in the top 10 of, you know, countries. Like we're talking about California ranked within these countries of like their economic prosperity. And just to see it's, you know, it's sad and it's tough. Every day here is difficult. I think living in Los Angeles is a slight struggle, just because like the bombardment of I don't know, sorrow or sadness that you see on a daily basis. And so it's like
broken dreams.
Yeah, I mean, it's like how often can you turn away? You know what I mean? Like how often can you just quit looking before you just become like you just lose your empathy or something? So it's been interesting, but I think there's a lot of beauty in LA. I mean, I'm 13 miles from the beach, one bus ride away, and so you know, Melissa and I go to Santa Monica. We try to go often. And anything that you want to do is here. You can't get bored in LA. Every band that you ever wanted to see is going to come here. Every movie that you wanted to see is going to play here. So entertainment-wise, it definitely doesn't lack.
Yeah, we get all the bands, the major bands. It's Los Angeles and New York.
For sure.
Yeah. You ever been to New York?
I have been to New York City.
New York City, where?
What? I've been to Brooklyn. I've been to Manhattan.
All right.
That's it.
I like Manhattan.
New York's interesting.
It's
I mean,
The people are, yeah.
it's an interesting place, and I'm sure that there's also beauty to be found in New York. I just haven't found it yet. So,
I would, yeah, I'd go back.
yeah, I mean, it's fun if you're there for a couple of days. I think it seems it's so cost prohibitive to, kind of spend any more time than a couple of days.
Yeah, I have some friends out there. I don't know. I mean, they made it through the good times and bad times, and then like my one friend met his wife out there.
Sure.
And then they have a kid, and But before that, it was the things he would tell me. It was crazy. But I mean, any major city, you're gonna have bullshit. You're gonna go through bullshit economically. Dealing with people on the train and subway. Because all these cities have crazy people here.
Yeah. I mean, I had one of my closest friends, Sugar Shane, lived out there for many years. I think he might have lived around Queensbridge, which obviously has an affinity for hip-hop music, but I mean, he did it, and I think he enjoyed it. He's in San Diego now, though, so I think that also says a lot.
It's like phases. Like, people come out here and they'll, in their 20s or whatever, and they do what they do, go out, and then they get their fill,
Sure.
and then they go back to wherever they came from. I saw that a lot.
I mean, yeah, it definitely seems like Los Angeles is a very transient city. I don't know if I've met many people that are born and raised. It seems like everybody is from somewhere else. But I think that's also kind of beautiful, too, because when the people come, then they're going to bring whatever culture they obtain from wherever they came from. So it's like, I can appreciate that, even if it's from Iowa or Indiana or something.
I noticed the natives are more low key, more chill, and then transplants, when we come in, we're like, we're here for a reason.
Sure.
So we're making noise and we're being loud and we're throwing events and all this stuff or whatever. And then the natives kind of just, take it in. And but I haven't met any that were upset about it. It is crowded here.
Sure.
But it's also a revolving door. I feel like.
Of course.
500 leave, another 500 comes in, and there's no more or less. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people come get defeated.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a city that can beat you down, pretty swiftly. I mean, I think I'm impressed with Melissa and I, that our resilience, that we've been able to stay here. We've been here a year and a half, and we're still progressing, I mean, we're still pushing forward, so it's not like we've given up yet, but
You're doing pretty good.
I hope so.
You guys are doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think we're doing all right.
Working and maintaining. Got a nice little spot.
Got a nice little spot down there in East Hollywood.
Taking advantage of the transportation.
Yeah.
Given.
A lot of people don't even know that LA has a subway. I've met a lot of people that are shocked when I tell them, yeah, I take the subway sometimes.
Yeah, the Metro, one of the best. One of the best. And getting better and getting more secure.
Sure.
But people, PSA, we gotta, when we see something, say something, do something, okay? Don't let these people piss on the train, you know what I'm saying? Or drink or whatever, and stink up our train. And, F that. And then people want to sell candy and water, let them sell candy and water, goddammit. It's only $1.
Yeah.
What was it, $1?
It's $1 for the water.
For the water.
$1.50 for a Coca-Cola.
That's a deal, son.
You can get some socks.
Get some socks.
Incense, socks, earbuds.
Or you get some now and laters.
Yeah.
M&Ms.
Get some now later, yeah. Get some candy.
Leave those guys alone.
Well, I mean,
and girls.
Everybody's struggling, right? Everybody's trying to survive. I mean, I appreciate sometimes too. I am a little parched on the subway, and when the guy offers me $1 water, I mean, it's cheaper than.
That's fantastic.
Cheaper than the convenience store, so I will always partake.
Absolutely. So, what's your favorite genre of music?
Oh man,
because you're into everything.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say everything. I'm not a big country western fan.
Me neither. Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily into classical music.
But you like more than one. Yeah, I'm not into it.
Well,
I
you
like classical music. I'm not into Christian music, but I like classical orchestrative, if that's a word.
Sure, but I don't know. I mean, let's think. Because I think that there's kind of a few genres of music that I kind of gravitate towards to more than others. And that would be heavy metal, hip-hop, and punk rock. And I guess what would be considered indie rock, but I don't know how big that umbrella is, because, like, what's under indie rock? Is noise under indie rock, or is instrumental music under indie rock? So, I mean, I think that, there's just so, people have made all types of different genres of music. Like, even within heavy metal, it's like, there must be 80 genres, and so, but those are kind of the types of music that I listen to most frequently.
Favorite wrestler?
Oh man, we could talk about wrestling for hours.
Wait, first of all, how was the new WE? What is it? What did we watch last time on TV? They're having on Channel 40 now. Is it WWE?
What is Channel 40? I don't have a TV.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what I'm thinking? Sacramento.
Yeah, where are you at?
I'm in the wrong city. There's a WWE with The Rock. When we were talking about that.
Are you talking about SmackDown Live?
Yeah, SmackDown Live. What'd you think?
I have stopped watching WWE for about the last 3 years. So when SmackDown Live premiered, I did watch it because The Rock was going to be
Had to.
Well, yeah. The Rock is charismatic. He'd probably be our president soon.
Absolutely. Unless Kanye gets in there. Kanye West.
I don't know about Kanye. He's a little polarizing. I think that The Rock can unite.
Kanye got he has the 18 and over. 18 and 30.
I don't know about that, Lee. I mean, out of all the people I don't know one Kanye fan.
Really?
I don't.
Your circle's small, my friend.
Except for you. But
music fan, not
human fan.
I like his shoes too, I guess.
I like his shoes and his music.
Shoes.
I
and
remember
music.
when so Manaf in Explosions in the Sky, he was I don't know how he feels about Kanye these days, but definitely back when College Dropout had come out, and what was the other album? College Dropout.
Not 808.
No. We're talking early.
After College Dropout?
Yeah.
Graduation Day?
Okay, so those were the two records. But every time, from all the times that I toured with Explosions in the Sky, every time we rolled into Chicago, he would have to throw that on. We'd always have to listen to it.
You gotta bump it, yeah.
And it would always irritate me to no end, because I am not a fan of
You're like,
Kanye.
you can't play Common?
Yeah, can we listen to Common? My feelings about Kanye is I think he's a terrible MC. I think he's a gifted producer.
I don't think he's a bad MC. He's not the best, but I think he strives to be the best, and that's always good. But yeah, as a producer, he's dope.
Yeah, definitely the guy is gifted. But
yeah, he cares. To me, he cares about lyrics. That's why I say that. He's not the best, because he'll have let's say he'll have Lil Wayne or Talib on the track. Like he is there to have the best lyrics, and I like that kind of candor. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, he could have just done like a feature like Jay-Z does and just not give a shit and give him money.
Sure, but I think if we're gonna rank him, I think he's like in the lower thousands.
He's not on my lyricist top 10. No,
10,000. Yeah,
wow.
Thousands,
okay,
maybe 9,877.
Okay, that's Los. He's not in my top 20 at all.
Come on, man.
Okay, 30, maybe 100. If it's 100, he'll be 100.
I honestly.
I don't think there's 1,000 MCs, bro.
1,000 MCs.
But no, there's definitely a lot more that are way, way better than him. But he's also down. What do you call it? Not downplay, but he's dumbed down his lyrics.
Sure, and he's exceptionally overrated.
Okay. Yeah. I don't give a shit. But okay, so heavy metal.
Yes.
Metallica fan.
Okay, so only early Metallica.
Only early Metallica. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Metallica
yeah.
up until the Black Album.
Yeah.
Justice for All, to me, in my opinion, was their last great album.
Yeah.
everything since then. I mean, I still have vivid memories of me. There was a store in Midland, Texas called Hastings that I rode my bike to buy that Black Album on cassette. The day it came out, and I was so excited, Lee, and I got home. I'd heard Enter Sandman. I didn't like it. I was like, oh, it's not very good. But when I got home, played that cassette, and I mean, that might have been the most disappointing day of my life.
Ugh.
When I heard that Black Album. It was so bad.
Okay.
But yes, definitely a Metallica fan. The first four,
yeah,
incredible albums.
We got off track. So who's your favorite wrestler?
Oh, modern day or all time?
All time, man.
Great Muta.
Great Muta. Who's Great Muta? Tell the people who.
Great Muta
Great Muta
was a gentleman named Kij Muto, and he was a wrestler that was wrestled in Japan. He came over to the United States maybe in 1988 or 89. And he wrestled as the Black Super Ninja for a little while, for like 2 years in WCCW, and then he made his premiere in the NWA and was so he was kind of this, he had a painted face, and he was the first wrestler I ever saw do the backflip off the top rope, and he also spit mist.
Why does that sound familiar? What's his name?
Great Muta.
Great Muta.
So the mist was like, red mist, blue mist, black mist, green mist. They all had different penalties if you were hit by them.
Yeah.
So it could have been, one was paralyzed, one was being blind, one maybe was deaf. I don't know.
Yep.
But he was by far my favorite wrestler because I had never seen anything like him before, and he was so fast and smooth, So yeah, Great Muta is my favorite wrestler of all time.
Well, he was NWA.
Yeah. And then he went back to Japan. And he still wrestles.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
How old is that dude?
I mean, I would assume he's in his 50s, but he definitely is not as swift as he used to be, Lee, and his knees are bad, so he doesn't really do doesn't do the backflip off the top rope.
He's the referee now.
No, he's not reffing.
I was just
but his entrances, like throughout the years, were so grand and just beautiful. Like his costuming was something very special. So I highly recommend you to go out and watch Great Muta video clips.
Like the old ones or the ones from NWA?
Well,
he wrestled in Japan first.
No,
right.
Like you should definitely watch. I would recommend to watch any of it, but I mean, just kind of watch his stuff from Japan. Like just again his entrances, like just like the grandiose like display that he would give, like to walk to the ring was quite amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Watching any shows? Recommend any shows.
Recommend any shows? Are we talking from
TV shows?
Like the past, the present?
Like what's streaming right now? Like what are you watching right now?
I'm not watching necessarily anything on that's streaming or on television. I think the last show that I watched was Killing Eve.
Oh,
I don't watch much stuff.
That's a good one.
I watch movies every now and again. Primarily a reader though.
What you reading?
Right now I'm reading a lot of Halloween kind of horror anthologies just to kind of get into the mood since Halloween is coming up in 2 weeks.
That's the only time you read horror movies?
No. I try to read horror all
books?
year. No. It's probably one of my favorite genres for sure, just to read horror books. But like right now, currently, I am reading. I just finished a fantasy book called A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie, which was really good. And then right now I'm also reading, it's tough, because I'm reading like 18 books right now. Oh, I'm reading Stephen King's new book, The Institute.
I don't know how you do it, man.
Well, it's by chapter by chapter by chapter by chapter.
I don't have the attention span to do that.
Well, that's why I read 18 books at a time, because I don't have the attention span to stick to
See, I can't, I'm doing that with shows. Like I'll watch a show and then I'll be like, watch another show and then I'll forget what happened in the other.
So, do you believe?
The next show.
Can I hear you say that the internet ruined your attention span?
I don't think it's that. I think it's my. It's my ADHD.
But is this something that you've had since you were a child?
Yeah, I have a learning disability.
Okay.
So, my attention span is pretty horrible. Like I have to fidget, I have to do something to watch movies.
Sure.
I can't just like if the theater is cold, it's perfect. I need it to be cold
In the theater.
so I can be cold.
I don't think I had issues with my attention when I was younger, but I think that the internet has kind of destroyed something in my brain because I remember time periods where I would be like watching something on the computer, listening to music, reading a book, all at the same time, and it's like, it just seems like I would have never done that in the past. And maybe because there's so much content that I feel like I need to consume that it's like, well, let me try to get 4 or 5 things.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Because I'll never finish all the books that I want to read. There's just no time in my life.
See, I'll listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
I'll be sketching something.
Sure.
And then I'll be eating like noodles.
Okay.
And I have to finish the episode. Even if I don't like it, I feel like I have to finish it.
You have to end it.
I have to end it. Unless it's really, really stupid. Like the movie Amber Rose was in on Netflix, it was too horrible to finish.
What movie are you talking about?
You know who Amber Rose is?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, okay.
Is it a wrestler?
No. She was Kanye West's first white girlfriend.
Okay.
I think she's white. I think she might be mixed.
Well, you know about my feelings for Kanye, so
right. So
yeah.
So she was a video vixen first. Then she did that what do you call that? Slut walk.
Okay.
She did the slut walk. Anyway, she's in this movie. It's not a great movie, and that's something I stopped. And then once in a while, if there's interviews, I might quit that too. But I don't think I think the internet's has its good and its bad.
Of course.
Anything, like even if we start getting that mark of the beast in our wrists for paying, some people will like it, some people won't.
Sure.
Because obviously it's going to be able to track us, but at the same time I don't have to carry a card and money anymore.
Sure, it's like you're going to sacrifice freedom for convenience.
Right.
Which is what we do every day anyway.
Yeah, with the internet it's the same thing. Information is easy. I can Google anything at in 5 seconds.
Sure. And we also give so much for nothing. It's like, here's
yeah,
my email, here's my social.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that my information is on there. Like
Yeah.
my old address
Sure.
is on the internet.
Yeah.
So it's that was crazy. So yeah, I mean, you have to give to get, even voluntarily or not.
Of course, it's just it just seems, but yeah, I mean, it's like where are you going to kind of take your stand, or what are you going to allow? Like, how malleable will you be? Like, how much will you bend, Lee?
I don't know. I don't. I definitely won't. I would never do the mark of the beast. I don't
Sure.
mind carrying money. I don't mind carrying a card.
You wouldn't implant a chip in your wrist?
No, I would probably do it to my kids though,
You would. You
so I know where they are.
You would limit the freedom of your children.
I would play Big Brother, aka Big Dad. I would do that to my pets if I had a pet.
Well, yeah, people do chip their pets.
People chip their pets now, yeah.
It's quite cruel. It's quite cruel practice, in my opinion.
If they can make it into like a tattoo.
Well, even tattooing a pet is quite cruel because
Put them to sleep.
The pet doesn't have
Have to
the
say
pet's
something.
self-determination or free will to get a tattoo.
Well-
It's the decision of the, I don't even want to say owner, because that also, it was the decision of the person that thinks that they own the pet.
Right. Yeah, I guess. But if you're gonna pay $1,000 for a Pomeranian, you're definitely gonna want to know. I say that you own that dog and take care of it as much as you can, because that dog's going to depend on you.
Sure, but the dog should also have its own self-determination
Okay.
and free will. Not
Maybe.
as a pet, but as a partner.
People aren't gonna see it that way. Hey, if dogs were free, I think more people would feel that way. But once you add money and finances and economics about it, yeah, like I feel like if you have a dog and the dog runs away or goes out voluntarily and doesn't come back, you didn't give it enough love. It didn't see you as a partner, and it has the right to go go away.
Sure.
But imagine when you pay $1,000 for that Saint Bernard, and the Saint Bernard just walks away. You're gonna go looking for that dog because you paid $1,000 for that dog. So there's no partnership in that. I own you. I own that dog. I named you Roger.
Sure. Because we don't even know the dog's name because we don't speak the dog's language.
Yeah, exactly.
To kind of bring that back to music, there was a band that I used to listen to back in I guess the mid to late 90s, maybe 96, and they were called Propaganda, and they were a punk rock band from Winnipeg, Manitoba, somewhere Canada. But I had never thought of the concept of an animal as not a pet, but an animal is something as its own, independent like thing. And I remember in their album they had like I guess some could call it propaganda, but I mean, I just remember, and I still think about that article that I read in their album. But they were a good band, by the way.
You want to do our list now, or you want to answer more questions?
Oh, whatever you got. If you got some more questions, let's do some questions. Or we can do our lists.
What's your, I don't know, because I don't know how long the list is going to be. Because I know we're going to talk about the albums in depth.
Sure.
Okay, let's do a list now.
Let's get your list. Let's get a couple more questions.
You want to do a question?
Yeah.
What's your pet peeves with people? Because you feel the same, kind of the same way I do. I think with people, any meeting new people or people getting into your business. Like
what are
pet peeves?
What are my pet peeves with people?
Or meeting new people. You know what I'm saying? Or
I think like insincerity is one of my biggest pet peeves with people. Just people not being sincere in their words or their talks or their actions. I mean, I'm pretty discriminatory when it comes to like meeting new people and like allowing people into what I consider my orbit, because I think I'm pretty I find myself to be not very social and kind of shy, and so for me to kind of open up to other people is for me it's a big to do. I'm kind of proud of myself for being able to say, oh yeah, but I think pet peeves: insincerity, Bluetooth speakers on the beach, on the subway, which is just like I think it's incredibly disrespectful.
Conversations on the phone, loud conversations.
Those are definitely pet peeves of mine. I mean, I don't know though, because I don't know. I don't really think about pet peeves. Arrogance, obviously, which I've been accused of countless times.
So have I, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess...
I think that comes with the being shy, though. It's not arrogance. It's more like...
I'm shy.
I don't know you.
I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, I don't know you. Like, people in LA, that's the networking situation. Like, they feel like everybody should be the same way. Like, if you're out here, there's a reason why, and you should be sociable. Because LA is like a big networking web, you know what I mean? Like when you meet new people, they ask you, so what do you do?
Sure.
And they don't mean like, your 9-to-5 job. They mean like, what are you doing out here? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's something that I think of often.
Yeah. That's the only part I hate. Okay, let's do a list.
All right.
You got it in your brain?
No, I got it right here.
Oh, I'm about to say, dude.
What are we doing here? Okay, so we're going to talk
about...
Okay,
we're top 10 albums that affected your life.
Okay.
You go first.
You first.
No, and we'll go from 10 to 1.
Well, I didn't write them that way, man. You should have told me ahead of time.
Are you serious?
No, I'm all right.
Oh, so you fucking with me. Ass. Okay, that's cool.
10 to 1.
10 to 1. You're the guest. You go first.
All right. Number 10 for me.
For you. For Los.
All right. Good Health by Pretty Girls Make Graves.
Why that band 10?
I mean, so when I thought about, let me just kind of go on a little thing here. So when I thought about these records, right? Because again, we've talked about before, there are probably other records that have been more influential to my life, or more impactful, or more important. But I wanted to make sure that these were albums that I still listen to today.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, okay, well, I want to know something, because again, I can talk about Iron Maiden or Slayer or anything like that, or the Gucci Crew that impacted my life because it sent me on a certain way, but I don't listen to those albums today. I mean, I do listen to Slayer sometimes, but anyway, so Pretty Girls Make Graves. So for me, I got to see them from their inception, living in Seattle.
Wow.
Like, I think I saw some of their first shows. I vividly recall seeing them and the Blood Brothers play at this bar. I think it was the Graceland back then, and they played like in no stage, just these two bands. It was like up and coming bands,
Yeah.
And I remember reading all the press because the bass player was from Murder City Devils, and the singer was from Area 51 and Death Wish Kids, also the bass player, and I think one of the guys was from, so they were all artists from other bands. And at the drive-in I don't remember if they broke up prior to Pretty Girls Make Graves beginning, but I was a fan of At the Drive-In, and I needed kind of something to fill that void when they disappeared. And I think Pretty Girls Make Graves, in my estimation, was a better band. And there was something about like the way that they fit together. I mean, just like I don't know, man, like when I listen to their two guitar players on their first two albums, it's like they never play the same thing with each other. They're never in sync. They're always playing just different things from one another, and it's kind of discordant, but it's also very beautiful, and there's a lot of melody there. So
yeah,
that band to me, and I got to see them play a lot because I was living in Seattle during that time, and I just thought that they were a talented bunch, and I thought that they didn't achieve the success that I thought was warranted to a band of that talent. Like, they just slipped under the radar.
I agree.
And I miss them, and because I was not so much a big fan of the third record. They brought in a keyboard player, and they lost one of their guitar players, and to me it was the dynamic between the two guitar players that was the most appealing part of that band for myself. So
that's a good one. That's a good one. My 10 is Dove's Lost Souls album, which is their first album, I think, on Astral Records, which is not only one of my favorite logos, but one of my favorite record labels. And I just love that album because I can listen to it today from front to back, not skip a song. The voices, the melodies, The Man Who Told Everything is like my favorite joint on that album.
Sure.
Just affected me as far as like having melody with a guitar, and then a drummer on the beat that may have hip hop influences or not.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just the ethereal atmosphere in the background of each song is just so dope. And the fact that the singer wasn't supposed to be the lead singer, and they just couldn't find anybody. He just said, "Fuck it, I'll do it." I like stories like that. Yeah. So that's my number 10. Dove's Lost Souls.
Dove's Lost Souls.
Which came out in 2000.
All right. So number 9 for myself would be A Minor Forest in Independence.
What's the band called?
A Minor. And the name of the band goes both ways, right? Is it a minor forest or is it A Minor Forest?
Yeah.
But this band, they were from the Bay Area. They put out 2 records and then a compilation album that came out after that. But they were, this had to be 94, 96, somewhere around that time period. But I have an affinity towards instrumental rock music. And although A Minor Forest was not completely an instrumental rock band, they were the first instrumental rock band with kind of the dynamics, the kind of soft, loud. But also too, when they did incorporate lyrics into their music, it was screaming vocals, which I also appreciate as well. But they also too, I remember hearing about them as a live band because they would set up with the drummer. He was at the front of the stage with his back to the audience, and the guitar player and the bass player were facing him. So you were literally watching them from behind, and I actually got to see them play about 5 years ago. And it was awesome because the drummer, you can watch him play, you can see everything, every beat that he's producing and everything, and then you can see the bass player and the guitar player behind him. But I felt it was a really inclusive setup. Like, I felt like I was, in the jam space with them or in the living room. But their music, to me, it just carries like an emotional heft and like this resonance. Again, it's like a quiet, loud dynamic. when they get heavy, they get really heavy. But I think that their moments of kind of soft parts are some of the most beautiful music that I've ever heard written. Just the guitar, the melodies, I mean, things like that. They are exceptionally talented.
So but the album is
Independence.
In Independence.
A minor forest or a minor forest. I don't know.
Okay. My number 9 is Portishead Dummy.
It's a good album.
Which came out in 1994. We all know Sour Times. I never knew that was a sample until 10 years later. Like, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about that band producing samples because the other songs didn't sound like samples to me.
Sure.
It just sounded like
Somebody wrote
keyboards and all that stuff. But yeah, that such a good first single for the first album to set the tone for the rest of the songs that you'll hear on that album, like Numb, Roads, Glory Box, just Strangers, just that boom bap got me.
Sure.
And then Beth's
the vocals,
eerie voice. Oh my god, she is amazing. And they brought me. And another thing that why they're 9 is I was getting out of my pro black phase.
Okay.
And because I was on a trip where I was like, if they don't sound black, they can't say, I can't feel them because they're not singing to me.
Sure.
But I don't know, she's not like the best singer. She's not like a crooner or anything.
Sure.
But man, she spoke to me, when she sang. So that she got me out of that stupid shit.
I always found them to be fascinating too, just because of the amalgamation of different types of music, right? I mean, the beats were straight, like kind of.
Yeah, it's like trip hop.
Yeah, I mean,
popping a lot back then, and yeah, to add both, because I always hated trip hop because it's always instrumental.
Sure.
It's like, why are you wasting this beat? This beat is so dope. There's no lyrics or anything, and they kind of filled that void to me because their beats to me were always trip hop.
And but even thinking about like her vocals, like, because if you extracted her vocal tracks, you could throw them over other types of music. You could throw guitar, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that her voice was kind of universal, that it could fit over anything. But the way that it fit over the beats that they produced was magic. It was different. I had never heard anything like it.
I mean, yeah, dupe. Number 8.
All right, number 8. Talk about albums that influenced me or inspired me. My number 8 is an album called Con Art by a band called Smart Went Crazy.
God dang, dude, I never heard of these people.
You never heard of that band, Lee? Smart Went Crazy was a band based out of Washington, D.C. They were on Discord Records, which obviously is the label that Fugazi made famous, and those bands of that ilk. But it was they were a band. They played in Lubbock, Texas back in like 1997. And this record, again, it just kind of, I had never heard anything like it. I mean, it's a band. They're a rock band, but they also had a cello player.
Whoa.
But the way that they incorporated the cello into the album was just like, yeah, like I said, hearing like a quote-unquote classical instrument involved in like kind of a rock band setting was just super cool. The vocals were great. I mean, the drummer was great. I mean, they were all great. I mean, yeah. I mean, that record, Con Art, and it's dark. It's a kind of a storyteller album. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times lyrics are vague or obtuse, and this was like this guy was telling a story. But I still listen to that album often. I got the vinyl a long time ago, and I think they re-released it for like a 25th anniversary or 20th anniversary. But definitely Smart Went Crazy, Con Art. Also, too, and I know that like for me, myself personally, being a Latino, this band was like diverse in their presentation,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so to see that and to hear those cats playing that kind of music was inspiring to me, and just to kind of know that it's like, not that anything is possible, but just that you don't have to be in like a pigeonhole or something. Like, it's something that anybody can do.
Because of your race?
Well, yeah, I mean, because I think primarily the music that I listened to, you didn't see much color in the on the stage or on the poster or in the magazine. And this band, surprisingly, like the first time I had ever seen them, I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's like, this is not even the voice. I mean, it's like I would have thought was one thing, but it wasn't. And I was like, oh man. So to me, it was inspiring to be able to think like that. I don't know how to explain this, but the type of music that I was listening to was could be performed by anybody and was for everybody.
Sure.
Just because you see somebody on stage and it's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm cool with that. It's not exclusive to any group or person or people. So I mean, I think that also too, that band in that regards weighs very heavy on me because it was cool to see people of color on stage.
Dope. I never heard of them before. Never.
Well, I know I'm gonna have to make you a mixtape.
Yeah, man, that'd be dope.
I will. I'll make you a mixtape of my top 10.
Like a real tape?
I don't have a cassette player, man. But I got cassettes. I got some cross control cassettes. If you want to purchase one, go to Bandcamp.
No, you mean go ahead?
No.
You about to give out the information?
No, I don't know. I don't even know the information. I don't run that stuff. I'm just saying that there we do have some. Wait a minute. Oh, the cassettes aren't available yet.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay, we're on 8. 8 for me is EPMD's Business as Usual. Okay. Came out in 1990, and just production wise and the samples on that album were just ridiculous. My favorite song on there was Gold Digger. I also like Rampage. Hardcore I couldn't listen to that much because it made me want to do hardcore things. Sure. Because Redman, I think that was one of his first recordings.
Was it one of his first appearances?
Ridiculous. Okay. That man is ridiculous. Also, the cover as an artist, I guess, illustrated wise, Bill Sinkenowicz, I think that's his last name. The art on there is just so fucking tight. He's a comic book artist. Sure. He's that Daredevil, Batman, the Joker. Yeah, he's just talented. He's still alive. He's still doing comic books. He's just dope as fuck. And that is the best. This is the best EPMD album to me. I still just listen to it. I could play it and not skip a beat or a track. It's just beautiful hip hop, straight from New York, Brentwood, Long Island. Yeah, 2 different voices. They changed the game like lyrically and sonically, and that was my first CD I bought.
The first CD.
That was the first CD I bought ever.
Where do they rank on your all-time pantheon of hip hop artists?
Of what artists?
Hip hop artists.
Oh, I thought you said pop artists.
No. Definitely not pop. We're not talking about Drake or Jay-Z here.
Man, what did I don't remember. They're definitely in my top 10, probably top 5.
Okay.
Yeah. As hip hop groups, yeah, probably. Besides Tribe, probably number 2.
All right.
Number 7.
All right. So number 7 for me is gonna have to be Gravediggers. 16.
Yeah, my dude.
So
why Gravediggers number 7?
Well, I mean, I think so we talked earlier about you asked me what kind of genres of music I listen to, and we could have done a whole episode about hip hop, my top 10 hip hop albums, but for me, the Gravediggers, just the first time I ever heard that album, I was living in Lubbock, Texas. So this had to be 97. It was the first time I heard the record. I don't know when it came out, 95?
I don't remember.
It must have been 95 that it dropped, but
was it 95? Can we Google it?
Maybe
keep going.
Maybe it was 94. But anyways, so I had never heard anything so raw in my life. Like just the way that they delivered their lyrics, the way that the RZA rapped, the way that Fruquan rapped, I mean, and just to think of Prince Paul and the RZA involved in a project together, you know, to think that those two guys like did a project together.
94.
It's 94, so I didn't hear it until 97 because I was living in Love.
Right.
But I had never heard anything like it. It was dark, and so I like heavy metal music, and I like horror novels and horror movies and horror things like that. So, I mean, to kind of hear this, but again, it was the delivery, it was the beats, it was the energy, it was the whole image, like the way the album cover with the knife and the fangs, and you know, when you open the CD case, there was the fangs of the RZA, and there's blood splattered on the cover, and it was just like
horror.
Never heard anything like it. Yeah, I mean, it was but yeah, I mean, I could probably recite that album from the first track to the last track, and I mean, it was just something that, again, out of all, when I think of every hip-hop album I've ever listened to, it's definitely the one I listen to the most. It's the one that I still listen to today.
Wow.
And it's just, to me, it's exceptionally special. And they came out with other records, you know, subsequently after that album, 6 Feet Deep. But I just don't think that they ever captured that magic. I mean, I think the RZA was too caught up in the woo. And kind of, I don't know, Prince Paul had a lot of projects happening and stuff. And so it just... yeah, that to me, like, that record was lightning in a bottle. Like, I mean, it's dark.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a horror book, you know, expressed on an album. I mean, there are just some exceptionally dark lyrics on that record.
Yeah, I love that album. Like,
me too.
It changed the game.
6 Feet Deep.
6 Feet Deep.
And I told you the original title of it in Europe.
Oh, what? Yeah, say it again.
That's why I can't say it.
Why?
Because I can't. I'm not obligated to say it. But I am looking for a copy of that CD, though.
So that copy would probably be worth some money.
I don't know. See, are CDs worth anything anymore?
Yeah. If they're
rare,
if they never officially came out, you know what I'm saying? Because I think when RZA first came out with Levy Rakim,
Prince Rakim,
it was a different sample. It was a Denise Williams sample.
Oh.
And they did have vinyl. So if you got that free vinyl, because it was a promo,
so they had to change it.
They had to change it because they never it never got cleared. They wouldn't let it be cleared. So they had to change the whole thing. But they already made singles. So whoever has that on wax, you know, has a rare item.
I mean, but going back to the Gravediggers, just like I said, I know I talked about like the lyrical delivery, but like I was always a fan of Old Dirty Bastard, and I thought that the Grim Reaper kind of had a similar like vocal, you know, like from kind of falsetto to like low end.
Oh, the one who,
you know, just like a crazy voice.
The one who passed away.
Yeah. But they all had their distinct vocal style.
Because Raekwon was from Stetsasonic.
Stetsasonic, yeah.
Those were the days.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Where we at? Number 6?
7. You're
that was 7. Oh, my 7.
Mm-hmm.
My 7 is Slick Rick. The Great Adventures of Slick Rick.
All right.
The first tape I ever bought. I remember playing Indian Girl, and then for the first time, and my sister being like, "Ooh, I'm telling," because that song was
vile,
sex. It was nasty. So, and I was like, "No, don't tell her," you know. But yeah, that was with my own money. I bought that album. That album came out in '88. Yeah, the beats on there were just, I don't know, something about the musicality of that album just like got me, you know. Of course, you know, Children's Stories is the single everybody knows, but the single for me was Hey Young World, because it was just slow. It was just dope. There's a message in there, you know what I mean? There's a story, because you know Slick Rick is known for his stories. just a great Mona Lisa. Like all his stories are just ridiculous. You know, every other album after that to me is good too. And usually you don't have many artists who have consecutive albums that are actually good. You know what I mean? But Slick Rick always hip hop, New York hip hop music, straight to the bone. Even though he's a transplant from the UK.
Yeah. See, he's English, right?
He's English.
It's funny because I just see that album cover, like him
Yeah,
on
him,
like
yeah.
the buildings. Like, I used to have that cassette as well, man.
Yeah, I still got it.
You still have that?
And I have the vinyl, yeah.
That was one of the first, I remember, like, probably the first hip-hop cassettes that I owned would have been Straight Outta Compton, Easy Does It.
Wow.
I had Fear of a Black Planet, Gucci Crew. I don't remember the name of the record. True Life Crew is What We Are, which I think was the very first.
I think it was the first one.
Crew album, yeah.
Wow,
that was from my
dude.
brother's collection. I had to snatch that. But yeah, I remember the Slick Rick. I just remember that, like the album cover.
Dope.
Where we at?
6.
We're down to 6 already?
Yeah, man.
All right. Number 6 for myself would be a band from Japan called Envy.
Okay.
The album is called Chain Wandering.
How they spell envy?
E-N-V-Y.
Okay.
I mean, there's probably other bands with the same name.
But they spell it like N-V-E-E or something.
E-N-V-Y. And you know what? The name of the album is not A Chain Wandering Deeply.
What's it called?
A Dead Sinking. Man, see, now you got me all confused, Lee. My 6th favorite album of all time, and I can't remember the name.
You can always Google it.
I'm gonna Google it right now. The name of the album is A Dead Sinking Story, featuring the song A Chain Wandering Deeply.
Okay.
Envy is a band that has been around, I think, for over 28 years at this time. They started in Japan. They started as a kind of a hardcore, kind of an homage to New York hardcore style of music. But then as they kind of grew and progressed, they kind of incorporated styles of music that include like kind of atmospheric, kind of instrumental rock. So it's like these screaming vocals, like constantly screaming. And so, but they also incorporate these really like these moments of beauty, like just these kind of lush and kind of beautiful soundscapes. And I mean, they have inspired and influenced a lot of bands in the United States. And the other part about this band to me was that the guy, you know, Tets is the singer's name, and he sang, his vocals were in Japanese, but I could feel, you know what I mean? It's like he emoted so much through just the way that he screamed.
Sure.
That it was like, I could feel it. And it's like, all right, I can feel this. I can feel what he's trying to convey. But they got their first album released in the States it's interestingly enough by Steve Aoki.
Whoa.
On Dim Mak, which is now I think a dance label probably, but
they have rock band.
But yeah, it was a punk label at first, you know. And so he released Envy's first album in the States, and then this other small label called Level Plane released. This wasn't Envy's first album. This was their first album in the States, and then this album that I'm talking about was released by Level Plane. And I remember being in Seattle at this record store called Singles Going Steady downtown, and I remember finding it.
Singles Going Steady.
Yeah, I remember finding it. It's a Buzzcocks, right? I remember finding the album, and I was so excited. And since then, Temporary Residence, the record label, has released all of Envy's stuff. You know, they re-released the old stuff, and they put out a box set for Envy. But again, it's just, for me, and kind of going back to tour, if someone were to ask me some of my favorite moments on tour, is that we got to perform with Envy.
Wow.
On more than a couple of occasions, but I was a fan far before I ever met them or got to play with them. And so my most vivid memories is that we played 2 shows with them in Tokyo and Osaka. And just like, I remember when they performed, I was front and center in the crowd, you know, like watching them play, because it's a rarity to see them play in the States. They have been, I think, maybe on 4 U.S. tours. But just, yeah, the honor to be, and their music it's gorgeous, but it's heavy too. I mean, so it fits kind of all my categories of like, it's kind of emotive, but also very heavy, but also very passionate, and it's beautiful stuff. Envy, Dead Sinking Story.
What number are we on?
6.
Are we?
You're 6 now.
I almost got lost. My 6 is See, now I gotta check out all these bands I've never heard of.
You know what, dude? When I get home tonight, I'm gonna WeTransfer you all these records.
WeTransfer? What does that mean?
It's a free email. I don't have Spotify.
You know, I could just go on Spotify.
Let me fucking. Do you have any player or some shit?
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
WeTransfer you all these records.
No, that's fine.
All right, go ahead. Number 6.
Number 6 for me is the Smiths. Now the Smiths had in '92 they had enough, I guess, material to have a best album.
Compilation, yeah.
And they had this certain compilation was called Smith's Best 1 and 2. My particular one was 1 because I recorded on a tape, and I had at the time I drove. This is probably like '96, and I discovered them late. Obviously, not obviously, but I discovered them like late in '96, '97. I'm in college. I'm in college. This is '95, and I'm driving my dad's green truck, and it just had a tape player in there. And I discovered the Smiths, which is probably how soon is now. And I said, let me just get the best of compilation to get my feet wet. And I put that. I had 2 tapes. I put that on the one tape, and I just left it in that tape deck for 2 years.
You never took it out?
Anybody who came into my car, you have to listen to the Smiths because I love that album. You know, every track on there is just fantastic. So I had a friend, when I would give her rides and stuff, she'd be like, "Dang, you playing the Smiths again?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess the Smiths. I love the Smiths." So when she left or something, she went somewhere and she came back and she bought me a Smith shirt, Queen of the Dead album.
Sure.
And I was like, wow, man, like that's dope, you know. So so that album also reminds me of her, you know. I think she's an actress now in New York. I don't know what she's doing. I miss her, but yeah, I still have that shirt, and yeah, that album reminds me of her, and it's such a good album, you know. And I never switched it out. I did switch it out for the second one because I was like, I gave the second one, you know, some airtime. But that first one had Charming Man on it. What else was on that one? I wrote these down because I know I forget because I have a bad memory. This Charming Man, please, that song. That's the last track on the album. I love that song. She Didn't Take a Bow. Oh, Stop Me If You Heard This One Before. Like, what kind of stupid titles are these songs, man? Like, Jesus. Like, nobody would do that except for Morrissey, you know? So, yeah, that's my 6.
It reminds me, so you talked about having this cassette in your cassette player for 2 years willingly. When I was in high school, my friend Paul drove a Delta 88. I don't know if you remember that car. But
it sounds familiar and sexy.
He had, it definitely wasn't sexy, but he had a cassette player that for some reason, what was stuck in there was the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack. So for about 2 years, Lee, I got to listen to the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack every time I was in his car.
Okay, yeah, it's not a sexy car at all.
No. Oh, you're looking at a Delta 88?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's a hoopty.
It's like your dad's car.
Delta 88 sounds like the name of a band, but I think there was a band called Delta 7.
There is a band, English band, I think, called Delta. So Fizzive.
Where we at? Number 5?
Yeah.
All right. Number 5 to me. Band called Versus. Album called Secret Swingers.
I've never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
How they spell Versus?
Versus. V-E-R-S-U-S.
S-U-S?
Versus.
Okay, I think I've heard of them.
So this was a band that I first saw. I mean, man, it had to be because I went to Lollapalooza in '93 and '94, and maybe even '95. But I definitely saw them on the second stage, and it had to be '94. And again, it was another situation where I believe the members of the band are Filipino, and they have one woman in the band. And so just to kind of see these dudes, they were brothers or they were all related, you know, and then this woman playing bass. and I was just completely blown away. I mean, you want to talk about like pop sensibility? Like they could write some pop songs, man, but just with guitar. So I remember I was living in the dorms at Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas. And my neighbor down the hallway to the left was a cat named Brooks Harlan, who currently owns a wonderful amp repair shop in Baltimore and is also in a band called War on Women. And
great names.
He worked at this record store called University Records in Lubbock, Texas. And Brooks would get the promo CDs. I don't know if you remember that. They would give you the promo CD. It was in a flat, like a, you know, the CD was like half the size of a regular CD, and it didn't have all the full artwork. It maybe had the label shit on the top. But
Yep.
I remember Brooks gave me Secret Swingers, and I listened to that record just non-stop. I mean, it was constant. I mean, it was just everything about it, man. Like I said, you know, we talk about melody, but I mean, this stuff was just catchy. I mean, they could write some pop songs with guitars. And I mean, that band, because now, obviously, I listened to their whole discography, and I believe they just got back together this year. And the singer was also in a band called Wysaw Lane with the drummer from Jawbreaker. And he's also in a band called Flower, where he played guitar. And Flower probably would have been on this list as well with their lone album that they came out with. But, I mean, Versus, yeah, I mean, the drums were creative. You know, the vocals were interesting. The guitar work was interesting. But it just had this catchy pop sensibility behind it that was beautiful.
I want to hear all this shit, man.
I'll send it to you tonight, man. We transferred. Oh, don't want to advertise for free, not for We Transfer, but
We Transfer, then the song will dissolve after the first listen. My 5 is Michael Jackson's Bad album.
okay.
Came out in 1987. Yeah, 1987, to me, some of Quincy Jones' best work. Michael Jackson's best work. I think I had Man in the Mirror on it. Bad, obviously. Librarian Girl. The Way You Make Me Feel. Speed Demon. It also came with that movie, I think. Or didn't he have like a short movie?
So this
Or
was
all his videos were movies.
was this the album right after Thriller?
This one, yeah.
This was the post Thriller record.
Mm-hmm. Because then after this was, I think, Dangerous after this?
Maybe that was right after
Thriller,
that,
Bad, Dangerous.
yeah. So this was the album cover. I remember the album art very well.
Just him.
Spray paint. Bad was in red, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a shirt with just that on it. So yeah, this, and then the videos, you know, Dirty Diana. He's just such an icon, you know. Amidst all the bullshit that's going, you know, the controversy is, he's still an icon. You know, he's passed through generations and generations. You know, it's just he's a legend. He's our music Jesus. So that album, for me, out of all the albums, that was, and I can go through Thriller too, but for me, and I guess for this situation, for me was Bad. What's the name? Oh, I Just Can't Stop Loving You is one of my favorite tracks. Very romantic, man.
Very romantic.
What do they call it? Hopeless romantic.
You are a hopeless romantic.
I am a hopeless romantic. I love love songs.
All right, where are we at now?
4.
I don't think so.
That was my 5.
Then you must have missed your 6.
I must have missed something. What are you? You're on 5?
No, you're right.
God dang it.
I think I have 4 left.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. All right. Are we ready? Number 4.
I'm not cutting that out. I'm leaving that in there.
No, you ain't leaving that in at all. All right. Number 4. The band Fuel. The album.
What?
No. Not the band you're thinking of. We're talking about the Monuments.
Which would have been fine. I was just surprised.
Monuments to Excess.
Okay.
Fuel.
Okay.
Okay. So I discovered this album because there was a store in the mall. I don't know if it was a national chain, but it was definitely a Texas thing called Musicland. And sometimes Musicland would like to throw out some cassettes for $0.25 a piece, right? Because I think it was overstock, or they would just want to get rid of the stuff that wasn't selling. So they would put this huge display out front, and it was like 4 tapes for $1. And this band, the album cover, I was like, all right, this is interesting, so let me just pick this up. And I think obviously I probably bought 8 cassettes that day, and none of them were good, but this cassette just blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind.
Fuel?
Yes, Fuel. And it was it was like punk and hardcore and screaming, and they've been labeled, people have nicknamed them Fugazi, because people say they're the Fugazi of the West Coast, because I believe they came from the Bay Area, and Fugazi obviously comes from DC. But this record, though, and this is why this particular album is so kind of influential to me, was because the artist that performs on the album, named Sarah Kirsch, passed away, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But Fuel, I don't know if that was the first band that they were in, but it definitely, the bands that they were in, so we got Fuel, Navio Forge, Bread and Circuits, Torches to Rome, John Henry West, Please Inform the Captain This Is a Hijack, Botter Brains, and Mother Country Motherfucker. Also in a band with Billy Joe Armstrong.
What?
Just for a minute, called Pinhead Gunpowder. Just for a minute. But, to me, you want to talk about, my favorite artists, my favorite creators, my favorite musicians, they would be definitely right up there in the top 2 or 3, because all of those projects, Sawhorse too, I forgot about Sawhorse, but all of those bands I absolutely adore. Never got to see them perform live, any of them, because they were also super DIY, playing in basements, playing in houses. I don't know if they ever played a venue, because I think they were also hyper political. I don't think they would perform in not an all ages space, so I don't think they ever played a bar, ever played anything like that. But it's just something that I can only, and I'm happy for YouTube in this regard, because I can experience some of these shows, just I'll go home and watch YouTube and just get to see this stuff. And they were also too involved in the whole kind of Berkeley, there was a venue out there called 924 Gilman Street that all the punk bands played, and I think that they were just a part of that, and I'm fascinated, I'm drawn to that scene, just kind of the ethos of why they were created, how they operated. It's just kind of a beautiful thing, this kind of all ages thing, and this kind of super DIY, with no help from anybody else. But Fuel, Monuments to Excess, and I remember the first sticker that I ever put on my bass was with the CD. There was a sticker, and it was there was a Woody Guthrie, the old folk singer, had a sticker on his guitar, and the sticker said, "This machine kills fascists." And in the Fuel CD, they had taken that, "This machine kills fascists." It was obviously kind of a different design because it was a square shape, but that was the first sticker I ever stuck on my bass when I went on tour, and obviously it wore away because I put it on the backside. But so yeah, Fuel will always hold a special place in my heart. I have I've tried to collect all of their work, Sarah Kirsch's work from Fuel on vinyl, from the 7 inches to the 12 inches. The other thing too that I appreciate about all the product that she released was the care that went in the packaging. You never just got a record with an insert. There was a flyer in there, or there was a book, you know what I mean? A small, kind of like a zine or something, but there was always some sort of beauty. There was care taken, and the packaging was something very special, and it's that means a lot to me, man. As a consumer, it's you're just going to give me some shit that anyone can produce, but no, you're going to give me something that has this story behind it. And so all those projects, Fuel, Monument to Excess was obviously the gate that I walked through that led me to all the other stuff, so that's the album that I would talk about. But just everything that they produced was something that resonates with me still to this day. So
they never got on a label? Because how do you look for that band without going to the actual, the other rock pop rock band?
No, you can't, man. Like I think that band Fuel. Like if you go to YouTube, I have found one basement show, and that's it. Because it's hard, right? Because this alternative rock band Fuel just kind of clogged the fucking. They clogged it. It's like it's not there anymore, and it's like I don't know why there wasn't a lawsuit, Lee. I don't know why there wasn't some sort of because Fuel had put out a record, and then all of a sudden this other Fuel came out, and I have encountered this more than 10 times in my life. Is when I said, "Oh man, one of my favorite bands is Fuel," and people be like, "Fuel?" Yeah. I'm like, no, not that Fuel. You're thinking of the wrong.
This is
Fuel.
woman fronted.
Well, at the time, not a woman.
Okay.
In the death.
Oh, okay.
Or in the later life.
Okay.
A woman.
I know nothing about this band.
At the time, at the era that the album came out, was Mike Kirsch.
Mm-hmm.
By the time that she passed, Sarah Kirsch.
So is the wife?
No, it was the same individual.
Oh, got you.
So
okay.
When Fuel came out in 90, 95, 96, Mike Kirsch, but by the time Sarah had passed, she was Sarah Kirsch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'd be number 5, man.
Wait, that was your 4.
Was that 4? Yeah. All right.
Because how many do you have left now?
How many do I have left on my list? 1, 2, 3. You're right. I have 3 left. So
my 4 is Jodeci's "Forever My Lady." Came out in 1991. The New Jack Swing era was my era. With Teddy Riley, Guy, and Today, all that shit. I love that shit. I love that R&B music. But Forever My Lady changed the game for me. Even their fast songs were dope, but obviously they are more known for their slow songs. But Stay is my joint, but their fast songs was dope too. Their remixes to Come and Talk to Me, with the hip hop beat. They had remixes with Wu-Tang, Raekwon and Ghostface. Remember that joint?
Yeah.
They're like the bad boys of R&B, man. Like I love Jodeci. Even with the latest album that wasn't really that great, I still got it.
Sure.
I don't give a fuck.
You're gonna listen to it.
Yeah. Cause Jennifer's dope. I love that song. So yeah, Jodeci's first album, Forever My Lady, changed my life. I really wanted to play keys after that because Devontae Swing is one of my favorite producers. And he went on to do other shit, which he just had his own sound. He had a single on Usher's first album. That song is dope. Yeah, that influenced me a lot to play keys.
So it was like a piece that changed your trajectory.
Yes,
because it inspired you to pick up an instrument.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I always loved piano. I just really never dove into it. But even with synthesizers, sure. P-Funk and George Clinton and music and everything, when they use synths and stuff, Bootsy Collins, with funk, that influenced me. But Devontae he just changed New Jack Swing and went to a whole nother level. And he's influenced by Teddy Riley, and I love Teddy Riley. So yeah, and that made me really want to get into it more. So, but I never bought a synth. I bought a Rose.
So how long after then did you hear that record? You start? Did that inspire you to play?
Play
music.
Yeah, I think I took a class after that.
That was the one that pushed you.
Yeah, that's where I met a couple of my band members at the time, but I only took one class, and I was like, okay, I got it.
You're gonna do
A, B, C, D, E.
He's gonna learn the root.
Yeah,
the root. You're gonna go on your own.
And then I just went on my own.
You don't need to know anything else.
Jodeci.
You want to sing a little for us?
Forever my lady. She's like a dream. Okay, go ahead.
All right, where are we at?
3.
All right, number 3 for me. these top three, I mean, I think this is now more bands, to be honest with you. But I'll put the album.
Well, yeah.
Well, I got the one album that I'll extract from the band. But I'm going to put number 3, Mars Accelerator, Cloud for your Y-axis.
What for your Y-axis?
Cloud for your
Y-axis. Okay, okay.
Mars Accelerator was a little band. I don't know if they were based... I mean, they were from the Seattle region. Could have been Bellingham or... No, Bellingham actually too far north from Seattle. They could have been from Tumwater, Bellevue. I don't know exactly where they stemmed from. But I will tell you this. I started listening to Mars Accelerator when I was living in Lubbock, Texas. So this had to be 97, 98. And I remember vividly the first time I saw in The Stranger in Seattle that they were playing. They were playing at a joint called the Sit and Spin, which was a venue where you could do your laundry and you could go watch a show, sit and spin, have a cold beer. They also had a bunch of board games. You could play Sorry or Life or Monopoly or Connect 4 or whatever. So I remember I was working at a homeless shelter and I was getting off, like my shift ended at 11:30, and I told my boss, I said, well, you gotta let me go. I gotta go. My favorite band is playing tonight. Sit and Spin, and I gotta get there early, you know, because I'd been listening to this band for a couple of years living in Texas. So I thought that they were a big band, right? So I show up to Sit and Spin. I mean, maybe 25 people there.
Okay.
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is one of my favorite bands. And I never understood why they did not get to a point of even national notoriety. Well, I mean, obviously I was living in Lubbock, so there was a bit of national notoriety, but I also had friends that worked at record stores and stuff, so they would introduce me to stuff that was pretty obscure. But I just never realized how obscure until I went to their home region and saw them perform in front of a handful of people. In my opinion and in my estimation, at that time, you know, Built to Spill, although they were from Idaho, they could still be kind of a Northwest band. Modest Mouse, Death Cab for Cutie.
Yeah.
Mars Accelerator to me had the elements of those bands. Like they had the kind of, again, the kind of subtle hooks, like the chorus hooks and things like that. The kind of a little bit of angsty vocals, like with a little bit of screaming, but also singing. And I never got it, man. I never understood how those bands, I mean, Built to Spill still tours. Modest Mouse had Johnny Marr in their band. I mean, they still tour. Death Cab still can play in front of thousands of people. And, you know, Mars Accelerator just faded into obscurity. They put out 3 records and a handful of 7 inches. And Cloud for Your Y-axis was their last album that they released, which I don't even know if it ever got a proper release. I saw them perform at a little bar called High Dive in Fremont, and I remember walking up to the singer and he gave me a CDR of this album. I mean, it did have a little bit of album art on it, but I don't know if it ever got a proper release. I think they put it on a website for free, like an MP3 for free, but it is incredible. I mean, the way that guy was a magician with guitar pedals. Like, I don't know how many pedals he had on his rack. It must have been 14. But just the way that he could manipulate them and create all kinds of different sounds. And also, too, the way that they recorded their albums always had, like, the left and the right. You know what I mean? It's like one guitar track was on the left, one guitar was on the right. So just to listen to it with headphones, they're definitely a headphone band. And, yeah, Mars Accelerator. I mean, I hope that someday they release new music, but I mean, it's been probably over a decade by now, and I don't know what's happened to them. So that's it. Mars Accelerator, Cloud for Your Y-axis, number 3.
Dope. My number 3 is Prince's Purple Rain, 1984. I mean, what a movie with great acting. It's such a cult following. Such a cult movie, I mean to say, but yeah, I love that movie. I love Prince. That's probably like what made me go down the rabbit hole of Prince and the other albums, especially the first one, For You. Like that's one of my favorites. But Purple Rain, because of the movie, I love the movie, and then I love that album. That song is dope. The Beautiful Ones is my favorite track on there. Just you know, never seen a character like him, you know, light skin, sexy, questioned my sexuality.
Sure.
Started to love purple more. And then he's my height, and I even tried to do my hair like him, and never caught on.
Wait a minute though. You had some Prince hair.
I tried to, yeah.
What did that involve? Or
You had to
entail?
put like straightener
Okay.
in it and stuff, and then my hair is already like on the side it's straight, but then on top it's curly.
Okay.
So it didn't take. I don't know. It's just weird. I should never done it.
Do we have picture evidence?
I'm not.
Are you sure? What about in the family photo album? I'd like to see some.
I think I
See this.
I might. It didn't take, so it looks crazy. But yeah, because I had to take you take student pictures for your student card, so it's on there. You know, black people are like, "Why is your hair like that?" And white people are like, "I don't know how black people's hair is. I don't even know you're black, so I don't have no opinion about your hair." But black people would just look at me like, "This guy is retarded." But yeah, that's my what's that? That's my 3.
But okay, so Prince to me was, because when we were young, I was just talking to Melissa about this literally last night.
About Prince?
Well, he came in the conversation because Madonna's coming here pretty soon, performing like at the Will Turn.
Yeah, 2 shows.
More than that.
Oh wow.
Maybe like 12 or something.
Go ahead,
Just
girl.
like a small residency. So, from when because we talked about like, what do you think of Madonna's voice?
It's okay.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's okay, right?
I just watched a documentary about her, like it was Madonna and the Breakfast Club, and you know she was into punk rock. They did punk rock shit.
But it's like, is her voice special? Like, I prefer Cyndi Lauper's voice. If we're gonna talk about a voice.
But I think Cyndi Lauper can sing. I don't think Madonna can sing.
Okay, so exactly.
She just has like a punk rock voice.
So then the conversation steered to Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And I told Melissa that I was always more appreciative of Prince than Michael Jackson.
To sing?
All of it. Because to me, Prince was a complete 100% total package.
Yes.
He wrote for others, he recorded, and his style of dancing was wild.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I'm gonna do this 1, 2, 3, 4. Prince was like this, like wild, like on stage with the guitar, like he was just beautiful. I mean, but I agree with you. Purple Rain, that record, and in particular the guitar solo on Purple Rain is one of the most. I mean, in my head, I'm listening to it right now. The guitar solo. It's just one of those beautiful things I have ever heard in my life.
It's emotional.
Everything about the film too was amazing. The end sequence where Morris Day is like, "Get out there, kid." I don't remember the exact lines, but he's like, "Get out there," you know. And they came out and did "I Would Die for You," right? The end of the movie. The other part of the story that I want to relate to you is that film was shot at a venue in Minneapolis called First Avenue.
Right.
And so we played First Avenue. Well, not me, I'm not. But when I was performing with Exposing the Sky, we got to play First Avenue twice.
What?
And allegedly, the part that ticks me off the most is that allegedly there's a replica of that motorcycle in the garage. Because there's a garage where you park and shit, you know. And we had some friends play there, and I got like a picture of my wife. He's like sitting on the motorcycle. And I'm like, what? They never showed it. I never got to see the motorcycle, but allegedly it's under a tarp in the garage. That purple motorcycle. But First Ave was another venue for me that playing there was like, I'm in First Ave.
Yeah, it's crazy. It must be.
This movie that. I mean, but Prince, even aesthetically, I mean, he was something that was like from another universe, right? Just his appearance, his outfits, his clothing, the way he looked,
The way he talked.
Man had charisma, just
absolutely
anything. So okay.
It's like I was saying, I learned how to kiss girls because of that movie.
From Purple Rain.
Yeah, I did kiss them like that.
And the movie was heavy. The parents,
yep. This attention, what do you call it? Attempt suicide.
Yeah.
Because I think he survived. Yeah.
I've seen it, but I mean,
I watch it occasionally.
I remember it. You know what I mean? But I like. There's so many things that I've viewed or read or listened to since Purple Rain that I have forgotten. Probably tens of thousands, but I remember that.
I think every year I probably watch it. Probably 5 times a year.
What was the song that he didn't want to play that the 2 women wrote?
It was Purple Rain.
That was Purple Rain. That was
that was it in the movie.
In the movie, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously wrote it, and he also wrote "Nothing Compares to You." Is maybe
he sure did.
Of all time.
Yeah, I love.
Even
that
though
song.
Sinead did justice.
Her version or
Both,
his?
All
Okay,
of it.
okay.
The melody.
Her version is good too.
It is good.
Yeah, it's good.
It is good. She did a good job with that track. All right, where are we at? Number 2.
Number 2.
All right, number 2 for myself is an album called "Dear You" by a band called Jawbreaker.
I've heard of that band, but I haven't heard anything from it.
Oh man, and this was a toss-up for me between 24-Hour Revenge Therapy and "Dear You." This band took a lot of flack because "Dear You" they signed to Geffen, which is a major label. They were a punk band.
That's a good label, but to me, David Geffen.
But in that era, like we're talking '94, that time period, they were sellout.
Okay.
You know, they
were Green Day.
Sellout.
Yeah.
So they put out a record called 24-Hour Revenge Therapy prior to that, which is incredible too. And "Dear You," like, I remember I was hanging out with Michael James, and I remember we used to play like NBA Live. This must have been NBA Live '94 on the Sega Genesis.
Yo, NBA Live, that's my joint.
Live, yeah. I don't even know if it's NBA Live yet. It might have been Lakers versus Celtics, or because then that turned into NBA Live. But I remember we went to Best Buy and bought "Dear You" because it was obviously readily accessible, and just got home, and I mean the album just kicked my ass. I loved it. I mean, just again, I know I've brought up the word beautiful, but this record to me was beautiful. Lyrically, the music, there's like these interludes of just kind of instrumental parts of the songs. I mean, obviously the song has lyrics, but then there's just like this moment, and it's just so heavy. And they were a band that I was at an age that they played in Lubbock when I was around that age, and my folks wouldn't let me go because Lubbock was 2 hours away. I was in high school, and I always had regretted, but they played here. I got to see them play last year here in Los Angeles in a small venue for like a zine's anniversary. But Jawbreaker is in my top 3 favorite bands of all time. I mean, it's just everything about them. I mean, they were a punk band, but their lyrics were something beyond. I don't know. I mean, they were. I don't want to say deeper because punk can get pretty deep, even in its political stuff. But it was just kind of more like literature, or more poetic, maybe. I guess. It was just different in that vein. But I mean, that record, I still have the original pressing on vinyl, on the baby blue marble vinyl, and the story behind the album to me is also, it has this thing behind it because they lost a lot of fans. They didn't make the money back for the label, and they broke up. I think they broke up. They were opening for Nirvana on a tour, and they broke up. So it was just like this whole thing just ended. Like they hit the big league, and then the big league crushed them.
Yeah.
So no telling what they would have done if they would have stayed indie. But Jawbreaker, "Dear You," by far number 2.
Dude, when did that come out?
Had to be '94, man. Had to be '94.
I feel like that around that time, rock music period was just different. It's more like free. There was no like follow this kind of music and you'll make money. It was like labels were trying to get the next best thing.
Sure.
And capitalize on that, obviously. Like I never heard any band sound like Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, and Nirvana, and Soundgarden, and they're all in the same genre of like rock music,
Sure.
But they all sounded different, and they just that era is just fantastic. Green Day.
When did Cobain die? Was that in?
Oh no.
Was it '94? '93 or '94? Kurt Cobain died. No, because if "Dear You" came out in '94, then Kurt had to die.
April '94.
Okay.
Wow. So long ago.
I mean, I often wonder what he would be doing today.
I think he would. I think he would have disappeared.
Really? You think that
I think he would have came out. I've thought about this too. I think he would. I think he would have came out with some solo albums.
Yeah.
Because they would have broken up. Nirvana would have broken up. He would have had some solo albums, maybe some stuff with other artists,
Sure.
some side projects. I think he probably would have faded, just be on some island and just chill.
That band in particular too, because again, you talk about top 10. I mean, this was a difficult thing for me to do because I love music. I mean, even thinking about like Nirvana at the time that they were active, they were huge and highly influential in my life. And then, like, I got so burnt out on them for a while because you could hear their music at the grocery store. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need to hear the album. I know every song in my head.
Yeah.
But recently, like in the last 4 or 5 years, I've kind of revisited them. They were pretty badass,
yeah.
man. Like, they were something special. They were a punk band, a noisy punk band that really broke through. You know, they hit a level that's it's rarefied air, right?
Yeah.
Like, they hit this peak that not many bands get to achieve, and they did it with like such a kind of abrasive sound. I mean, they did have some pop stuff in there. I mean, like at least some kind of melodic stuff. But I mean, like In Utero, like you listen to that record now, and it's like, whoa!
That's probably
I can't believe they put this thing out.
Yeah,
it's like In Utero is like heavy, noisy. I mean, it's a beautiful record. Okay.
I mean, they have a song called "Rate Me."
Yeah, they did.
And I love that song.
They were progressive, even in the 90s.
Yeah. Their double album, they had after Cobain died, they put out this album with all these
I didn't never hear that. It was
unreleased
later, right?
stuff. Yeah. Even like their stuff that they never released was just good.
Still pretty good.
I think they had a single out too. I forgot what that was called, but
I mean, the guy was a pretty phenomenal songwriter. You know?
I would even say he's a poet.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, nobody would write lyrics like that.
No.
You know, this is
they were special.
left field.
I mean, and again, like it's funny because like now, and I mean, and I am so out of touch with like modern music, which is kind of a sad thing. But like when I think of like the last kind of big, huge rock bands like Nirvana, U2, maybe the Foo Fighters, Green Day for sure. But I don't know, like who are the last
the last Mohicans,
big rock bands, you know?
U2, you put Depeche Mode in there?
I mean, they were kind of even previous to that, right?
I would say Pearl Jam.
Okay, you're right. Pearl Jam can still play a stadium now. Yeah.
Stone Temple, if Scott was still here.
You think, though? I mean, but I'm talking about, like, even achieving the status, like the success. Like Stone Temple,
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
You're right. They have been around consistent for a long time.
But they'll still sell out if
they'll
Anthony
play
if said they want to
yeah.
do a show, man.
Okay.
I would go to that.
There's not like, what about contemporary rock bands?
What's contemporary rock?
Like I'm talking the last 3 years. Who's the biggest rock band right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's, you know.
I don't know.
Nickelback?
Daughtry or something?
Who? I have no idea.
Daughtry.
All right, let's go back. What's your number 2? You're getting me off track, man.
All right, my number 2 is a toss between 2 albums, but it's from a band called Mint Condition from Minneapolis.
Mint Condition.
And I chose Definition of a Band because of the because of all the slow songs they have on there. On and Let Me Be the One. But yeah, they're all that album came out in 1996. But they're an all black band.
Okay.
And it's R&B. They're this album, and then what's the second one? And the second, that album and the one after were so good it made me scared to listen to their first album. But then after years, probably 10 years later, I finally listened to the first album, and it's not bad.
Mint Condition. I have never heard of that.
Yeah, so it was between this album or From the Mint Factory, and that is one of my favorite albums. But definition of a band, definitely. And then also at the time I was also in a band, and that album brought us closer because we all just love Mint Condition, and Stokely is still one of my favorite R&B singers, and anything Mint Condition comes out with, or Stokely just came out with not just came out, but has a solo album, which is great, I'll just buy it, I'll just get it, because those are one of the bands like I want to support, you know what I'm saying. Never seen them live, but one day I will, and yeah. They come from the branch of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Okay.
And the Prince, like right after that, they came out with their first album, which was like 1991. Meant to be Mint. That's a good album too. Everything they come out with is just so good. Life's Aquarium, that's one of my favorites. Just a great band.
Okay, so how did I not ever hear of them? Were they a radio band at all? Did they have a radio
Not too
hit?
Pretty Brown Eyes. Pretty Brown Eyes.
No.
You know, my voice is horrible right now.
Incredible.
But
I mean, I literally have never. Oh, when I think Mint Condition, I'm thinking of baseball cards.
Right, me too. I think of comic books.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a band, like, if you like R&B music, a little bit of New Jack Swing, and then actually playing, you know, like I'm getting down, you know what I'm saying, solos, singing.
Okay.
Since bass guitar, still Stokely plays the steel drums. It's ridiculous. Yeah. If you like R&B soul music, like, you have to listen to this band. The discography is like great.
I like to fancy myself as being open-minded.
Okay.
So
because you've never told me about any R&B or soul albums.
I mean, well, it's like it's soul. It's like when I think of soul, I think of Otis Redding.
Sure. Yeah.
Wilson Pickett.
This Stokely is like singing. Like, he can sing. You know what I'm saying? Registered, high, low.
Sam Cooke.
Yep.
But I mean, so I like modern R&B. I'm just completely aloof. I have no, and I mean, I guess you're talking about the '90s, but I don't know anything beyond like just that old.
Which is fine. It's very Mexican of you, by the way.
Is it? No. Did not know.
No, to listen to all the old school soul
music.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Who was it? Hooga, I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I mean, like R&B, I guess I just slipped out of after listening to those. One thing, like when I look at Otis Redding, I can't believe that dude died and he was 26. Have you ever looked at a picture of him?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks like he was 58 years old.
Yeah.
And the voice was a 100-year-old man.
Yeah. Groggy, yeah.
He was in his 20s. I mean, it just blew my mind.
I did, yeah.
And died in a plane crash.
Donny Hathaway too. Donny Hathaway doesn't look his age when he passed away.
So I will definitely have to listen to Mint Condition tonight when I get home. Are they in the same arena as In Vogue?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Totally different.
And if you like, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but if you go by album,
You should listen to the first.
and everything else, you'll hear the progression.
Okay.
And it's fantastic.
All right.
And everybody can play, like, not, you know what I'm saying?
They're just talented.
Yeah, the keyboardist plays the trumpet too. Like I said, Stokely sings, plays drums, and plays a steel drum. They have a guitar. They do solos are crazy. They have rock songs on there.
And that's your number 2.
That's
so
my
that means a
number
lot
2.
to me because I respect your opinion.
Thank you. I respect yours. Absolutely too.
Respect your taste. So the fact that I've never heard of this group.
I mean, being in a band and listening to this band,
Yeah.
like we had to step it up. You know what I'm saying? Because they had just great songs. Like we're in a car full of dudes and we're playing Pretty Brown Eyes. We're playing, On and On. We're playing, and we're dissecting all the bars, all the
Sure.
instruments, how he's Stokely singing, what are they using, you know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta buy that synthesizer, we have to buy those drums, we gotta get this kit, we gotta get these cymbals for this.
So even the sound, the tone, everything about it was influential to you.
All the albums are mixed down perfectly. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if Bob Power is behind the board. But
all right. So then, what album would you recommend again? You said it was Definition of a Band.
That or From the Mint Factory, or even
which was the 2 and 3. Okay.
Or even Life's Aquarium.
Oh, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right.
Start with Life's Aquarium.
Okay. Go and listen to it tonight while I watch wrestling. Read a book. All right. So now where are we at?
Now we're number 1, bro.
All right. So
Los's number 1 album.
Okay. So number 1 album for me in particular, and this was very hard because the band is the same. It's one band.
Okay.
Unwound is the band.
Okay.
My favorite band in the history of music
right.
of all time. And they have multiple albums, so I had to sit there and really think, like, what album would I pick? Because I think I probably love them all equally, as a parent would say to their children. I love you all equally. Obviously, there's favoritism going on, but the record I picked was Fake Train, which is their... Okay, so Unwound was a band, and they started as one incarnation of this band, but then their drummer quit, and then so they picked up this drummer named Sarah Lund, or Lund, I don't know how her name is pronounced, I've never heard it spoken, but...
I love female drummers.
And so Fake Train was the first album with her as their drummer. And it was the first album to me where they really kind of gelled as a band. And this record, I mean, it has my favorite song in the history of music on it. And it's like 2 songs combined together, so it makes for this very long track. But my Unwound story is as such. They had played, I was living in Lubbock, Texas, and they had played there sometime prior. So they were a band that had played there, so, you know, the kind of local cats that I had met that were in bands and stuff had their album. And Fake Train, my buddy Justin Sweat, who was the drummer in 2 of my previous bands that we have discussed earlier, had this record, Fake Train. And the album cover was interesting because they took a Tom Jones record cover and they put like some pictures on it, and then obviously they copied it. So it's funny when I see the Tom Jones album in thrift stores, which Tom Jones is wont to take space in many thrift stores that I go to in vinyl sections. Him and Engelbert Humperdinck are probably the most, you know, viewed albums I see at thrift stores. And so I traded Justin this Chavez record for this Unwound record, and it completely changed my life. I mean, that band to me was just the perfect band. Like the vocals were low in the mix because they were kind of an instrument as opposed to being on top of the mix, and their bass player and their drummer, the rhythm section was just phenomenal, while the guitar player, the singer, just was able to kind of do whatever he wanted. Very discordant, very strange. They did hit these pockets of kind of this beautiful melody, noisy, punky. I mean, everything about the band to me is perfect. But it's just the way that those 3 members integrated with each other. I've never seen such harmony in a band. And I mean, to some people it might be abrasive, or the music might not, you know, fit what they think of music as being, but to me it's just like it's just such a perfect blend. Like, I've never heard 3 components of a band be equally as important. And I guess the lyrics would be 4th, or the vocals would be 4th, but he was also just one member. But they had, you know, all of their albums are my favorite albums. They are by far my favorite band, leaps and bounds above any band. I think their last record came out in, I'm trying to think, because I was living in Seattle and I saw their second to last show. I don't remember the year. I mean, I don't know if it was 2003, 2002. So they haven't been a band in a long time, and their stuff was re-released. The singer has done other projects, and which I've enjoyed, not equally, but I've enjoyed very much. And the drummer has been in other bands, and also the bass player has done like very small projects. But they're a band to me that in that realm of music was as important as your Sonic Youths or your Fugazis, but they're not as heralded as those artists. They never got it. I mean, they never just kind of hit that point, and I think their last record, Leaves Turn Inside You, maybe would have kind of put a skyrocket on their ass and pushed them towards that, but then they broke up shortly thereafter. But that Fake Train was the first record I heard by them, and Fake Train was kind of just changed my whole kind of musical path.
When did that come out?
Man, Fake Train had to have come out in 94, 93, 94.
Same era.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing, Lee. When we talked about this, the whole thing with me was, again, like the elements of music that I described earlier, was from my brother. I first heard, Iron Maiden, Power Slave. So, I mean, that record could have easily been on here. Also, my brother was super into, the glam rock of the era. So, Motley Crue or Poison or, any of those bands could have been on here. And then I remember my sister had a Pretty Hate Machine, 9 Inch Nails. I think that was 88.
Wow.
And I remember that cassette. And it was I think it might have been the first black cassette I saw. Remember, cassettes were white. This was a black cassette. And, so, I mean, this was very difficult for me to narrow it down, but I think the most influential part of my life was in the late 90s, early 2000s, and so that was kind of the part that framed these selections of these bands, because we could have done era, we could have done genre, we could have done anything, and I would have been able to have rattled off 10 albums, and this was a very difficult task. So these are records that I still listen to today. If it was what do you say, the island, if you're trapped on an island, what 10 albums would you want to have with you? So these would be those records. But I mean, 9 Inch Nails, I mean, Pretty Hate Machine could have been on there, or Downward Spiral.
Yep, that's mine favorite.
Smashing Pumpkins, Gish. I mean, because that era, it was like Jane's Addiction, Ritual del Habitual. I mean, those records too at that time, but those just haven't, if you want to talk about Fly Paper or Fly Trap, those haven't kind of stuck on me. These 10 that I discussed, I still listen to. I mean, they come up and it's it brings me back. And also, music for me attaches itself to memories. And these albums, just in a part of my life. I mean, I think right now I'm at the best part of my life because where I'm at with Melissa and things like that. But it's you look at the history that's forged behind you, and it's these things are just attached to because I'm 40 now, but it's growing up, these were the albums that, I don't want to say propelled me, but they were the soundtrack to me becoming who I am. So that's why I selected these 10. But again, I could have given you another 50.
Yeah,
easy.
I could have put another 10.
Well, I heard your top 50.
Hip-hop.
Yeah, I mean,
groups.
I didn't even know I knew 50 hip-hop groups, but I was like, man, I don't know those hip-hop group stuff. It's just, it was difficult. It was a difficult task, but it was fun, to kind of narrow it down.
Yeah.
But hard. And you, number one.
My number one. This is my favorite rock band in the world.
Can I guess? Can I guess?
Sure.
Kid A.
Whoa, the album?
Yeah.
What's the group though?
Radiohead.
Okay, wow. You said Kid A? My favorite album?
What is it? I'm not trying to list your number one.
That's your guess? That's your final answer?
No, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna say OK Computer.
That's
my final answer.
That's your final answer?
Yes.
Nope.
What is it?
The Bends.
Wow.
1995.
It's early.
When I saw the video for Just.
Okay.
And that whole song is just fantastic. So that made me go through the rabbit hole, because I've heard of Creep, but I didn't hear the rest of Pablo Honey.
Sure.
When I heard Just, and then High and Dry, and then just the rest of the album is Black Star. It's just a beautiful album. I can listen to that, from front to back.
Sure.
Again, You know, it made me want to pick up a guitar because I never wanted to play a guitar. I wanted to stick to keys, and you know, the lyrics from Tom and that album. That's like their last rock album, as opposed to OK Computer, because they did have guitars on there too. But after OK Computer, then they start going electronic and stuff. But the Benz is like a full rock album.
Record.
You know what I mean? And it's just so good. And that's their second album. So after that, I went through that rabbit hole, and I've been a fan ever since. Everything they do, all the solo projects, all the side projects, even from Philip Selway to you know, John Greenwood doing soundtracks and stuff. You know what I mean? And doing instrumental stuff, and even like it's cool to see a band go from rock and then do like electronic glitchy stuff, you know, and still be, you know, still have fans. Keep, you know, the fans are still there. You know what I'm saying? The lyrics are still there. God, what an album, man! You know.
I know earlier, I don't know if this was captured, but we were talking about like the last rock bands. I mean, Radiohead would have to be up there for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about like monumental rock bands that will stand in the canon of time.
And they changed their sound too, and still kept their hardcore fans, you know.
Yeah.
And they never changed their. He didn't change his writing process, or the content still abstract. Kind of.
They evolved in a way, but you're right. But it wasn't evolution towards like acceptance.
Yeah,
it was evolution
just
because they evolved. It didn't seem like they were pressured, or they might have been pressured, but they didn't adhere. Like, oh, we're gonna do this. Like they stayed their course. I mean, they are a band that I respect. I mean, I just have like just for what they accomplished and the things that they did. I mean, they are a band that they kind of did it their way, and that's a beautiful thing.
I remember they had that thing. I forgot which album it was, but they were like, name your price.
Sure.
And you could have this album.
Dude, what album was that? The Reckoner, or whatever that song was on there. I mean, I know what you're talking about. Because they were at a level that they could do that. Not many artists in the world could just say, okay, we're going to do this, you know?
Yeah, and I think they were just going against the record label or something. Or
of course. They were
something like that. Anyway, that's my favorite group, and that's my favorite album from them. But then everything after that, I still love.
Sure.
So, I mean, it was OK Computer is good.
But how that was like their
because Paranoid Android.
That was like that's like what pushed them, propelled them to the start.
Which is funny because it's not only is it long, but they have like 5 changes in the song.
Karma Police on that record?
Yeah.
Okay.
On OK, and it is a hit.
Yeah.
Because I heard Hey Jude had to be shortened. It's like a 5 minute song, and they had to shorten it for a second. But even when they played the long version, it was still a hit. What do record labels know? They don't know everything.
Sure.
Funk that. Anyway, that was fun.
That was a good time, man.
That was a good one.
It was good. If you ever want to do an hour about wrestling, I'm your man.
That's that other podcast that you go on with that.
No, I've never been on any other podcast. This is my first.
I thought you and the guy from your band.
No, I wasn't able to do it. This is my podcast premiere.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
First time I've ever sat down for an interview.
That's dope.
Yeah.
You should definitely do a wrestling podcast.
If you ever want to talk about anything, tour, you know, being on the road, whatever, I mean, we could do.
We already did that.
Yeah, but it was all about 12 minutes.
Oh, because I wanted to get to the list. I kind of wanted to, you know, get to the meats and potatoes.
You gotta get to the meat and potatoes.
And not so much the celery and the quinoa and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I wanted to get to the list because I knew we were going to talk about it.
So we're good?
You had more stories about tours and stuff?
Of course.
Okay, we got to do part 2 then. We'll do part 2.
Talk for hours about touring.
What I'll do is I'll do one of my mood ones. I'll do one of my mood ones, and then you can just chime in, and then you can talk about other stuff too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just be the sidekick. Ed McMahon.
Yeah. Huh?
I'll be your Ed McMahon to your Johnny Carson.
Who's
Just laugh over here.
That was pretty good.
He tells a joke.
I was gonna say Conan O'Brien and
Andy Dick.
Andy. Is it Andy Dick or Andy Richter?
Andy Richter.
Andy
Richter
Dick.
kind of sounds like Dick too.
Andy Rectum.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about late night talk shows. We could talk about Carson, Letterman, Leno.
I know your memory is way better than mine.
No, my memory's fading.
Dude, you just named a band and then every other album they had.
No, but people always tell me, it's like people will come up to me and tell me stories, and I'm like, I don't remember that.
Because you don't give a shit about their stories. You give a shit about these bands, so you know these bands.
Yeah,
like
that makes me a shitty person if I don't.
No, it doesn't. It just
stories.
means
if somebody tells me their story and I don't remember their story, that makes me a shitty person.
I don't agree with that, because you don't have to remember everything just because you meet somebody and they tell you their story.
I'll tell you, the other day I got a text message because Exposing the Sky is on tour, and I got a text message. I was like, I can't wait to see you, blah blah blah, and I was like, So, I'm always like, I got a new phone. I don't have my contacts. I lost my contact list. Cat's like, we met in this city, blah blah blah, and I was like, yeah, I remember. I actually did remember the dude, but obviously I didn't save his number. But like then I'd tell the whole story, like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, here's the link to my new band.
I'll just say who this,
who that,
who this, new phone, who this.
Yeah, I try to do that too sometimes. But yeah, man, I mean, I can tell you about. I think you should interview Melissa.
That's a nice.
You know why? Because she's French. She has like an experience of the.
We already discussed this. I said, yeah. I said,
I'm gonna ask her.
I said, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna bring her on.
Yeah. Okay. But what will we talk about?
I think that you should talk about the transition from moving from Europe to the States. I mean, that's a story within itself.
And then what's the creative part?
Well, she's a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about her. She toured for a very long time in Europe. I mean, she
with
did.
What? With who?
With 2 companies in Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
You could talk about that. You could also, but I think like she's funny and she doesn't know she's funny. I think that the best stories from her would be her experience in the States because of the culture difference and just everything like that.
Yeah, but I want to have 2 mics too, cause so you can chime in and stuff.
she is exceptionally funny. Like, I think she should do stand-up, but she's like, what?
Uh-oh.
I'll never do stand-up. We need to bring
If she had the chops,
she does.
That would be dope because she has that accent.
She's got French, accent.
But they would give her shit first, probably the first few months. Okay, we'll see.
She's funny.
Okay. You also know that you could be biased because you're her husband.
No. Everybody that meets Melissa thinks she's the funniest woman in the world.
Okay.
And her stories are incredible.
I believe it when I hear it.
Okay. I have to prove it to you.
Yeah.
But Lee, I mean, she's way more of an established artist than I am.
What are you talking about?
She worked for the 2 biggest companies in Belgium. She toured all over Europe. Performed in 24-hour performance. I mean, she performed in an 8-hour performance. I mean,
in America, are those companies known?
No. But what is America? I mean,
we're the cream of the crop, baby.
But if you're gonna limit your sightline to America, then you're excluding the rest of the world.
Yeah. People come here to make it. Am I wrong? To make it.
Yeah, but
you could be famous in Japan and Europe and all that shit, Canada. But until you make it out here, nobody really knows who you are.
Well, but an American can go to Europe and nobody's going to know who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Europe don't count.
Went to Europe, ain't nobody going to know.
I won't say Europe don't count, but...
But I will say this. I did see Diggable Planets in Brussels, sold out, 600 people. I saw Run the Jewels in Brussels, 3,000. 2 nights sold out.
I will say this: we, I don't want to say underestimate is not the word. We take our hip hop for granted. I will say that
Because it's worldwide.
because we have it, we have access to it, or we're kind of spoiled, or America's not good with music. Because when Jamiroquai was out here,
I remember Jamiroquai.
he only hit with Virtual Insanity.
Yeah.
And all the rest of his other albums are bomb. And I just talked to somebody about them a few months ago, and they're like, "Oh, that's the guy who had the moving video
upside down, yeah.
with Virtual Insanity." I said, "Yeah, he had more albums."
How did that song go?
I said,
What was the hook?
God dang it, it's on the tip of my tongue.
I remember the video. I don't remember the song.
Because what I was about to sing was Space Cowboy. This is the return of the Space Cowboy. But that's not the song. Things are made of virtual insanity and always seem to instant technology.
Right.
Oh, now there is no sound because we all live underground.
All right.
That's my dude, man. JK. Okay, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Los for the interview. I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. I think the list was a good concept. I only presented it to him because he's a music connoisseur. And like I said probably earlier in the podcast, I don't know half of the shit that he said as far as the bands are concerned, and I'm hoping to listen to all of them. I'm listening to all of them.
Well, you need a wheat transfer tonight after I get home.
So looking forward to that. Anyway, yeah, bye.
Amazing version.